All right. Thank you, everyone who has tuned in to watch Bold Memoir Season 2, Edition 2, Round 2, whatever you want to call it. This is us doing it again. And we want to really thank you so much for joining in, for tuning in, and for keeping this positiveness and the vibe going. It's not easy in this period. It's not easy at all. And I really, really appreciate every artist out there who has tried to reach us and send in their performances, their thoughts, their questions, their suggestions, their ideas. It's quite hectic, but it's a team that is really tight and working largely in lots of collaborations, and we really appreciate this. Thank you so much for your effort. We're going to start off with our first performance, and it's a song all the way from South Africa, Kenyan in diaspora, and Nyakoe herself, with the title Bring It On. And then we will do Faiz, a Kenyan artist as well, who is doing a monologue. And then after that, we'll have a short discussion of the performance, of reactions from the performances that we would have watched. So kindly, guys, let's keep it short, tight, and interesting at the same time. Thank you.
Come with your guns and your bombs and your swords. Get it, mama. Come with your tear gas and your whips. Bring it on. Get it, mama. We will not fear. This is also our land. I will not be shaken. This is where we belong. Better be ready,
I don't want people pulling my arms and screaming my name for a photo. I just want to do my work. My work. That's it. All this other shit is redundant for me and for whoever wants my attention. They think it's important and it's not. It's just a fading picture on social media and that's it. I try to rationalize it to myself without sounding like a selfish prick because I want to give people what they want, because I care about everyone. At the same time, I am not a people's pleaser. What the freak? I hate how I sound right now. And this is exactly what I mean. Look, I'm just a terrible human being. That is why I keep a low profile, and you already know this about me. If I want to go out and get a beer with my friends, I should be able to do that without worrying if I'm being watched or being followed. And that is why I keep wearing these stupid hoodies and this shit, because I have no done privacy. None! I just want to make people happy, or content, or whatever it is the hell that I'm doing. I just want to connect us to one another in some freaking way, and that is why it matters most. I don't want to sign up for all this other stuff. Okay, fine. It can be nice. It can be all fun and games, ha ha ha. It can also be painful. I'm just a terrible human being. I can hear how I sound. I'm terrible. And
Right. Thank you, guys. Wow. Whew, what a lovely start. What an amazing one. I would like us to have a short open discussion about the very fast performances that we've watched. And again, I think as we had pointed it out earlier, these are quite timely pieces. These are also very bold performances, and starting from the song Bring It On, with the wordings, with the graphics and everything happening. It's wow, I still need to find myself to settle into this, because it's been quite also emotional week for very specific reasons for the Black person, the Black man, the Black being, the Black individual. And I think this particular song, and then Faiz's monologue also comes in, and the question that comes to my mind constantly is, when does it matter? And is it the society or it's the individual? And this is both for both Bring It On, the song, and the monologue from Faiz. And I don't know what went through Nyakoe's mind when she was composing and coming up with all this impressive and amazing information, message or not message. As an individual, there must have been something that inspired you or drove you to this point, and Faiz, the same for you as well. But I, as an audience watching your performances, then I ask myself at this point, what comes first, or who comes before the other? Is it the individual or it's the society? And if it's one or the other, then which one should be supporting or not? I would like to open this discussion and hear from Nyakoe herself, because I know you are in you're on your live. I would like to hear what you have to say, and probably to hear a little bit more from the artist room, because right now I'm seeing myself. I would like to see people, Tana, if that's possible, or keep texting me. The chat room has gone silent. Yes, Nyakoe herself, thank you. You're welcome. That was really a blessing. Thank you so much for the song.
Thank you so much, and thank you for playing it. Nimeshukuru sana, which means thank you very much. what inspired the song was it came at a time when I was thinking to myself, every revolution, the people who I see in the forefront are what we call in Kenya the common mwananchi, um, and the common mwananchi, we have nothing to lose. That's the ordinary citizen, and that means it's a revolution from the soul. It means that it's beyond accolades. It's beyond being looked at as an iconic revolutionary. It is something, umechoka, you're tired of the suppression, you're tired of the oppression, and it's a welling from within. So the lyrics say, come with your guns, come with your bombs, come with your swords. My weapon is truth. My weapon is pain. My weapon is scars, and this is for me one of the most potent types of revolution that comes from the people at the bottom, the people at the grassroots. They're marching, they're coming for you, and touching on the recent happenings that you're saying, like the Black Lives Matter, and I feel like as Africans, as Kenyans, I feel like we need to give as much intensity and attention to the revolution that's local as much as we're giving it to the what's happening in the West. Yes, those are fellow Black brothers and sisters, but we have issues of tribalism. We have issues of suppression, political suppression. I would love it if Kenyans, we gave the same oomph, the same rigor to the issues that we are facing locally as well, because we must know that we are also worthy of the revolution. We've heard of police brutality during COVID-19, prior to COVID-19 in Kenya, but the intensity that we're giving it to our own Black man, our own Kenyan person, is not the same as we're giving for Black Lives Matter. I feel like we need to start it from inside our country as well, and put a name to the victims. We want to know their names. The same way we know the victims in America, we want to know the Kenyan names.
Yeah, I think that's a very true point there to the core, because it's that victim, it's that individual, it's that person, it's how they feel, because it starts with that particular individual, then it grows out or spreads out into the society, into the community at large. So I think that's really true. And thank you so much for the comment and for the short discussion. Martina says, yes, girl, thank you for such a beautiful, wonderful song. No, thank you so much for such a wonderful song, and we should not fear speaking up. That's true. We must speak up. Thank you, Tuma. All right, thank you, guys. Let's keep the chat room open and active as well as we keep on with this. I'll give probably a very short, half a minute, probably 2-3 seconds to any participant who would want to add something to this discussion as we move on, because I can only see myself right now. Tana, if you can see anyone wanting to speak up, probably you could spotlight them. Otherwise, I would like again to go back to Faiz's monologue, who I think wasn't in the artist room earlier with us, but I still feel the same for him, and probably it echoes through a little bit through what Nyekoe just said. It's him wanting to be himself. It's him trying to also make sense out of what he's experiencing. So it again goes back to him as an individual before he even tries to spread out and say, I would want to say it like this, or I would like to pass this kind of content or information. He just wants to still, he's kind of speaking for that voice of coming from wanting to identify, wanting to understand, wanting to evaluate, or just basically understand himself as an individual before going into pleasing and being so public out there before it starts with himself. Is there anybody else coming up? My chat room went silent. Thank you, Nyako, you're back. All right, just unmute yourself. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. No, I just wanted to thank my producer Tuma. That's what I wanted to say, because we were a bit nervous about releasing the song, how it will be received. But so far, so good. I just wanted to say thank you for that. Having someone who is proactive and ready.
Nicoya, I really wanted to say, oh, sorry, I jumped in. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
But I really loved both performances, but I also think it's so important that you use language and you wrote it down. It's as putting an imprint on what's happening, not only hearing it and passing it through means of like audible, but also making a stamp, writing it down so we can all see, so it can be seen everywhere. It was beautiful.
You're welcome. Thank you.
May I say something? My feeling from the two performances is that there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of anger in people about how things are happening, and we are not going to sit back anymore. Yeah, we have to take up and action and do something about it. So it's being reflected all around the world right now. And I want to thank the artists, because for me, it really touched me. Both performances really touched me. And I'm really surprised, Nekoye, I didn't know that your music, I'll go out, check out your page now. But yeah, thank you very much for both of them. Yeah.
Thank you to everyone. I hope that if you feel left out, please use the chat room. Otherwise, I would like us to move on to the next performance. Would like us to move on to the next performances, and that we have David with Conflictor, and Martina with a poem or a short monologue, sorry. David is all the way from Paraguay and Martina is all the way from Mombasa. So let's have their performance come up and enjoy.
Y el redimensionamiento de él en el espacio. El espacio enmarca el lugar del espectador. Las percepciones de forma mental o por el contrario de intimidad o de cercanía, hablan de una ubicuidad del actor y del espectador.
Tear me to pieces, skin and bones. Hello, welcome home. To be by yourself and listen to the call of the birds, the movement of the wind, the smell of air, the noises of the city, the silence of the night, and maybe the beating of your heart. Join me and let's be lonely together, for I promise you, there is no greater feeling than when I'm lonely. What's in you, they call you benefactor. Hey, what's in you, they call you benefactor. Hey, hey, what's in you, they call you benefactor. Sponsor, blesser, sugar, daddy. You know, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit when you don't check up on me. Don't you miss me? I mean, don't you miss all of this? It better not be that boys club I'm hearing about. Okay, I know, Rona. But she doesn't know you like I do. She doesn't do you like I do. And she definitely doesn't last like I do. I'm not complaining, babe. I'm lonely. They say 35 for confirmed today. Our place is the hardest hit. There shall be cessation of movement, fellow Kenyans. What else is new? The logo of a new mask? Or the brand of a new sanitizer? Maybe it's the 6th of June, when I finally get to see Arthur, and he can tell me of how peaceful the mountains were, and the call of the birds. Or maybe it's going to be Linda, and she can tell me of what she misses in that man. I guess they were right. I do need a hobby. After all, I'm lonely.
This is amazing. And with this one, I get I'm basically giving my personal views here before we invite into the actors. I get the feeling of us definitely at this particular moment feeling stuck, either as individuals or as artists, or in whichever context we are kind of both stuck, but in, and it's the beautiful part with this one, it's in different parts of the world. So we have an artist in Paraguay, we in conflict with where exactly am I going to put my theater, how am I going to show my theater, and he's moving from one place to another. And then we have an artist or an individual in Kenya feeling stuck in her own circle, in her own space, and wondering how to go about all this thing. And it clearly shows me as an audience that we are quite experiencing different scenarios and emotions in this specific times. And it's so that opens up the floor. I would like to speak to David so that he can give us quite a little bit of insight of how it is in Paraguay, and then we'll get to Martina to give us an insight of how it is in Kenya, and specifically in Mombasa for this moment, because that's where she's best. David, I don't know if you could hear me. Yes, you're welcome. Hi, thank you so much for your presentation. That was really amazing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was nice to see it again with you guys. Well, the main thing about this piece is that it was a time when all the corona thing started, and it was a time of confusion, and still is a time of confusion and transformation, as you were saying in the discussion before. So specifically for this exercise, for this piece that you guys saw, I got the challenge to create a piece about the good things and the bad things were happening to us at the beginning of all this COVID-19 thing. So before thinking about a fiction or a story to tell or somehow to do theater online, the first answer that I needed to answer to myself is, what's going on with theater? That's my main problem right now. I don't know what to do. I'm not feeling comfortable just recording myself and acting in front of a camera, because that's not the theater that I knew. So somehow I wanted to show that the real conflict was not a dramatic conflict in a fictional story. It was a conflict within theater, and what do I have to do now that I cannot meet with people outside and do theater. And the first two performances, I didn't have time before to talk about them, but it made me think a lot about this work that theater has to give voice to the silenced one. That is like the main thing that the theater has done, to give voices to the people that didn't have voices. And it made me think a lot that why do we want to keep doing theater? We want to do theater because that is the purpose of theater. We want to talk about things that are not being talked in the world. We want to speak. We have something to say. It's not just a picky attitude that we have that we want to do theater because it's fun. This is our work and we need to earn money. No, it's something that has to do with the things that we want to say. It's a need. We want to talk about things, and that is why we are in trouble when we are not able to do the theater that we were at least used to do. And now we are trying to transform it, because we still talk about things.
That's very true, because even in your piece, there's also that lack of freedom. You're almost like you're constantly timed into either in the toilet, in the bathroom. You don't have the freedom that you're speaking about, that theater allows us as artists to speak openly, feel liberated about situations. Just a little bit with back to you, David. So is it the case that still in Paraguay that the situation is still the same in terms of the of COVID-19, and so basically, how, just a little bit in terms of how are you then going about your work? If this performance was inspired by the situation, is the situation still the same for you, or you've found other ways of going about it?
Well, somehow it is the same in the structure. We are still not artists as artists of theater, we are now still able to go outside and perform and present our plays and give a welcome to the audience to see our plays physically. It's the same. What is maybe a little bit different is my perception right now of how is the concept of theater changing somehow in my head, in my group, with my company, people that I work with.
That's a very nice point. Sorry to cut you short, but I would just like to probably for us to end it there, because you've just said a very true thing, which then resonates probably to all of us. The situation was very shocking at first when it happened, and we all didn't know how to go about it. But eventually and gradually, we've gelled into seeing different perspectives and ways of us to tackle or to face this with better strength rather than feeling weakened by it. I see, Paul, I want to add something to it. So you're welcome, just really shortly, so that we
okay, really short. I just wanted to add something to the Paraguayan situation. So, I mean, you can all know what's going on. We've been in lockdown for more than 2 months. We were the first country in South America to lock everything down and close all the borders. And we are doing very good in numbers because of that. But now it's beginning to reopen. And we went in from total quarantine mode to, they call it intelligent quarantine. So a few things are opening up, and one of the things is theater, but without an audience. So we are trying to figure out what that means in terms of we need to record the shows that we want to show, and how do we take care of ourselves while doing it, because it's all about the audience, but not about the actors and actresses. How do we take care of ourselves? And so it's tricky and it's complicated, but we are reopening things, but with the danger of going back to total lockdown if numbers go up, and it's beginning to go up, and we don't know what's going to happen. And a little more thing. I mean, I told you at the beginning that this is Patos and David's work are from a directing workshop, and the first thing that they wanted, that we asked them to do, was what David said. What's the good thing and the bad thing about quarantine and lockdown, and literally and metaphorically. And this was David's response to it. And I just wanted to add that it's just so beautiful to see both works from different parts of the world. And David had a question: is it an online poem? And then we saw a poem, an online poem from a totally different part of the world, and that was beautiful. And that is what this is all about. I just wanted to add that.
All right, thank you. We will quickly go into briefly talking to Martina about the situation in Kenya, Mombasa specifically, and also, you know, like, because then you point it out, like, it's this, it's that, it's something new every single time. It's different emotions for different people. It's different loneliness. It's different craziness. It's everything popping up like popcorns all the time. So Martina, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Hi everyone. It's a pleasure to just see different people from different parts of the world. Amazing work from the few videos that I've just seen. David, I liked your piece. I was a bit scared when I started seeing you removing the pants. I was like, what is going to happen here? But yeah, I love the message behind it. I mean, in Mombasa, I think, but the corona story kind of came quite a bit later in Kenya than other countries, like probably where you're from, Paula, and others. So in Mombasa, we were very ignorant about it. We still kind of are. People still don't believe that this disease is something that is there, which is something that we are really struggling with, especially right now when numbers are really, you know, adding up and all that. So it's scary as an artist to just think that when people are ignorant out there and you want to educate them, how best can you do it? When I was writing I'm Lonely, I was just thinking, maybe what are the different stages of lonely that people are feeling? Some people are peaceful and are okay with, you know, being indoors, and others are not because they miss one person or the other. And some people are just not used to being locked down or being told you cannot move from this point to that point, or you have to wear a mask, or you cannot shake hands in a country where shaking hands is like the best thing, or hugging, or a lot of things. So here in Mombasa,
so maybe Martina, to cut you, Martina, sorry, just to cut you short and go to the point where it's you kind of also put it in the sense that it's this, it's that, like it goes back to the uncertainty that people are living with, because today you have 21 days and you think, oh yeah, after 21 days then maybe something else is going to happen, and then 20 and more 21 days added on top. And I guess in the feeling and the voice that I hear in your piece, it's like it's the uncertainty that makes the people unsettled, because also viewing this, it's like also the governments weren't prepared and they didn't quite know how to deal with the situation or how to go about it, and that has definitely affected people in lots and lots of many different ways. And the emotional part of it, I think it's what we all strive to face every single day and go through. I would like someone has a question, Aroji,
Me, yeah.
or someone
Yeah.
else. But also thank you guys who are not on the platform here, or we cannot see you but you're watching from afar. So please keep your questions or text us in the chat room for me to be able to read your thought or your contribution about this.
All right, I have a question, and this connects to Amado and maybe Paul a little bit. You know, your piece is very catchy, and you know, the fact that you use these intimate places that we usually don't really like to show. You know, it's the toilet, you know, the other places, the fun, and you know, that action of, you know, wanting to do something. I really just wanted to know what is the thought behind that. And if I extend that question to Paula, is this a kind of form or genre in Paraguay? Is it inspired from somewhere, or is it very individualistic? So, you know, I think we can take advantage of this time to also learn some good theater.
I'm gonna jump in. Sorry, David, and then I can move it to you. I think David specifically has been working on a very personal kind of theater, involving documentary theater and post-dramatico. How do you say that? Pato and David, help me. And it's a very
post-dramatic theater.
Post-dramatic theater and documentary theater, and also playing a lot with Brechtian tools. And this is a language that David has been working for a couple of years already, and he has done some shows exploring this kind of thing. And this comes all from we shared a view of experimental theater and mixing tools and mixing languages and disciplines and everything, and put everything out there. We're not hiding anything, which goes along with Brechtian style, you would say. And but it's a very personal language that David has been experimenting for a while. And so the beginning of this theater directing workshop, he started with his own language, and then we pushed him to other languages. But you know, you have your own language, you have your signature, and so he works with that. I think he can add a little bit about it.
Yeah, and well, I don't know if people know here, but I graduated from a school where Paola was my teacher. So in that space, in that school, we worked a lot in developing and growing in our own languages and creating and becoming our own creators, you know, not only performing pieces of, I call them museum pieces, you know, things that are already written. For example, you know, a Hamlet, and it's a Hamlet by you, and it's a Hamlet by Martina, or a Hamlet by Paola. No, creating our own pieces and creating our own scripts. So that helped me a lot to talk about, as I was saying before, to talk about the things that I really want to talk, not about things that happened in Denmark or in the United States 50 years ago. and with, you know, with all those clauses and stuff, things about things that I want to say in my own way. So somehow all those years working with Paola in the school helped me to develop my language and knowing what I want to say. So maybe that's why it looks kind of personal, and it doesn't really respond to a specific, you know, style or kind of theater. It's kind of the theater that, or the language that I am trying to find myself.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Paula and David, for this. And I see, Paula, you're saying you will share the links to your work here so that we can all be able to, you know about each other and continue with this. And that you're very much into experimental theater. Aroji, I hope you've got your question answered very well right there. Okay, so let's move on. Really lovely, enjoying this. I hope you're all doing so. I feel really blessed to be part of this session today. We're moving on to the next two performances.
Our generation has cut off all that life has to offer and called that cool. The one who feels anything deeply is called weak. The one who wants to be genuine or honest or kind is called boring. Exciting things are no longer hand-holding, small kisses and stolen glances across the room. Excitement is drama-filled situations, detachment and heartbreaks. Take a good look at the reality of our reality TV. The music. The music no longer makes you want to fall in love, love someone better, do a dramatic, romantic gesture like scream, "I love you" at the top of your lungs. We have taken these things and called them old school. The new school music stimulates your pride, your ego, and makes you feel like you're on top of the world. That feeling becomes the enemy when the song ends and you realize you're not, and your world is actually falling apart. The new school romance is to text when you're really interested, call when you're really, really interested, and block when they no longer interest you. We pride ourselves on who has the coldest heart, who's the most savage, who feels the least, and who has the ability to live the most unrealistic life on social media. when in reality, a quote said, if you want to understand the psyche of our generation, take a good look at the stories we tell ourselves about the future. Because it isn't flying cars or robot dogs, it's faceless government surveillance and worldwide pandemics and militarized police brutality and the last dregs of humanity struggling to survive. Our generation may be self-centered or even called lazy, but we are young and we are deeply, deeply afraid. We're afraid to love, to give freely, in fear it won't be worth it. Afraid to speak out, lest we are no longer called cool. Afraid to think, and instead rely on the media to dictate our lives. And most of all, we're afraid of being told we are wrong, lest there's a possibility it might be right. Never before has a generation diligently recorded themselves achieving so little, Anonymous said. And I ask, how did we become a generation with such informed minds and confused hearts? How are we living in such a time as this and seem to have no care for the future? Is it true that the end is near? Is it why we are living like the end is here?
Yes, I think what I'm gonna say for this too is life does not threaten X generation. Can I speak to Pato, please? That was really
Yes.
moving, amazing. Like I could literally see it through your eyes, and the visual of these soldiers, armed people. I could see it with less words, but it was all carried. Thank you so much, Pato. Yeah, I'm gonna be quiet now.
Thank you. I also want to say that I think you have curated the pieces so perfectly, like from beginning to end, like the way they go together. Because, like, as much as in my piece, you can feel the encasement and the constriction, you could also feel the same thing in the openness of what and the movement that Victor was having. So I think that you guys have done an amazing job at blending pieces together that tell a bigger story than what they tell individually. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, thank you. But also then about then, can you hear me? Am I breaking?
Yes. No, I can hear you.
Thank you. I would like to see her. Thank you. Pato, this is for you. Because I think the question that I have, I hope it's what is going through other people's mind. It's that cute bunny trapped in that cage, and then coming out and seeing what she says. But I'm asking this for me, and I hope there's someone out there also who wants to hear the exact feeling, emotion, and move and inspiration towards this. Because again, this is very key to the particular situation that we have at hand. It's not easy with what we're fighting, that is a virus we can see, but at the same time we're also faced by a society that Nyakoe brought us into at the beginning. Thank you.
I think, well, if the people who know me know that I have been collecting little army men for like years now. So I have a lot of them. And to be honest, I never was able to quite put together what I really wanted with them. And through the workshop that I've been taking with Paula, I think I've also found a road to follow. And to be honest with you, I think beyond everything that is going on, I wanted to talk about fear and what that being threatened or frightened really means, and what fear does to us, how it can keep us in a cage, even though what's outside, it might be a toy, or might be how we create this monumental figure and we're not able to move past it. So I think I kind of wanted to play with what we see and what we feel and what's real and where it puts us.
Yeah, that's very key.
And I think it sort of translates into almost every situation, because even with the pandemic, it's like you go out, like there's going to be eventually a vaccine maybe that will probably sort everything out, and that will be a medical solution, but there's also going to be there has to be a social solution. So we as a community and a society of the world need to get rid of the fear, because fear tends to drive people to very bad choices.
Very true. It's very true, because then with fear you lose your freedom. With losing freedom, you become radicalized sooner or later, because you want to do something that is then rapid or instant and all those things. It's very true, because always the fear of the unknown drives people crazy, because you can't see it, you can't predict it, you can't.
No.
Yeah, you can't even touch it, so it makes it very.
And it might prevent you from doing really amazing, beautiful things that you really want to do. So I think fear is a very powerful tool for a lot of people, and sometimes we are the owners of that fear and don't know how to control it or how to manipulate it. I'm not saying that we should. I mean, yeah, we could be fearless. I mean, fear has its own power and its own agenda, but it's when we let it take over us, what happens, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I see people saying very insightful: fear of outside and fear within ourselves. Thank you so much, Pato. Let's have Victor. Let's have Victor with X generation, because again we go back to that fear, and I think X generation is to carry Plato's insightful word fear into Victor's performance. X generation, I think also goes back into maybe being at a situation where you will feel irrelevant, you feel left out. So then in that sense we put a whole lot of effort, probably at times, into things that wouldn't be as self-fulfilling, or will end up being more frustrating and depressing. I see people in the chat room busy. What are you saying? Okay. Someone has been doing a private chat. All right. Thank you, because I see you've been directed how to go about that. All right, Vincent. Sorry, I called you Victor again. I don't know why. Is stuck. Maybe you look victorious. I'm sorry, Vincent. I'm really sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. So, nowadays, nowadays the society really judge a lot. It's not like it used to be. It judges a lot, and you find that people fear what the society has to say about them. And also, because our piece is talking more about falling in love and getting to have people coming together, and because of the things that have been going before and people's past experience, you find that it's really hard. It's really hard for people to fall in love again, because people tend to judge a lot. People are still stuck in their cocoons. They don't want to open up to, let me say, to try different things. They always feel that whatever experience they had, everybody's like that, not knowing that people are different. The experience you had with someone, it's different with the experience you have with somebody else, So it's more based on fear within us, and also fear of what people will think about us or what people will say. So we are always stuck behind, holding back. We don't want to explore. We don't want to get out there. We don't want to do new things because we fear what people will think about us. We fear making mistakes, not knowing that those same mistakes that we fear making are the things that will it's like a stepping stone to another phrase of new things, you know. Yeah, basically it's all about fear.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think at this point I would agree, or I would like to connect it from the beginning when we have Nyakoe's song saying "Bring it on," and then after bringing it on, we have Faiz saying it's enough. It's not to please you all the time. It's also me to be by myself. And then we jump into David showing us the conflict, the lack of freedom, the being stuck in a particular situation. And then we have Martina making it even, building it even to a higher level of being lonely. And then now we are at life doesn't threaten, but there's also fear within the same life that doesn't threaten us. And in that we fall into an X generation that I don't think it's only a Kenyan situation, but it would resonate to lots of us in different places, continents, and countries, that there's that being stuck in a certain way that you're really, really keen and afraid that you'll be judged constantly. Then the question becomes, why do we judge, or why do we then cause this kind of very, very heavy emotions on ourselves, yet the world itself is not being any softer? Because look at us in this pandemic and in this period at the same time. So yeah, thank you so much again to those people who are watching us. And I know you can't probably be able to come on right now, give your very spot on thought or suggestion or idea, but I feel you, we're together, we're with you, and thank you for tuning in. And we are moving on very well today. Thanks to the techie who there are actually two today, and they're hidden somewhere in the back doing a very great job. Thank you for the whole team that has supported. And we are going into our last round of performances, and we will have Adam doing a Shakespeare monologue by King Richard. And we have Koki, who has done a poem with Neema, a dancer, and the poem is called In Between. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Adam Parker. I'm from San Diego, California in the United States. And today I'll be doing a piece from William Shakespeare's Richard II. Of comfort no man speak. Let's talk of graves, of worms, and epitaphs. Make dust our paper, and with rainy eyes write sorrow on the bosom of the earth. Let's choose executors and talk of wills. And yet, not so. For what can we bequeath save our deposed bodies to the ground? Our land, our lives, and all our Bolingbrookes. And nothing can we call our own but death, and that small model of the barren earth which serves as paste and cover to our bones, for God's sake! Let us sit upon the ground and tell sad stories of the deaths of kings. How some have been deposed, some slain in war, some haunted by the ghosts they have deposed, some poisoned by their wives, some sleeping killed. All murdered. For within the hollow crown that rounds the mortal temple of a king keeps death his court. And there the antic sits, scoffing his state and grinning at his pomp, allowing him a breath, a little scene to monarchize, be feared and killed with looks, infusing him with self and vain conceit, as if the flesh which walls about our life were brass impregnable, and humored thus, comes at the last with a little pin, bores through the castle wall, and Farewell, king. Cover your heads. Mock not flesh and blood with solemn reverence. Throw away respect, tradition, form, and ceremonious duty, for you have but mistook me all this while. I live with bread like you, feel wants, taste grief, need friends. Subjected thus, how can you say to me, I am king? Thank you.
Breath, fiato, souffle. In between is where I live. In this space, my tongue builds as words appear, move, and I chase after them. How do you... There is an expression. In between is where I figure things out, where I'm allowed to have no right answers. I want to dunk you in this landscape so that you can ressentir ce qu'est mon expérience de l'ici, du oui et du non et du maybe. Voici. Papi, outil, baby, tutti, choisi. Così, fan tutte. Nessun dorma. Se non chi nell'angoscia non sa, non riesce, non sono quello che pensate, sono adesso, qui. La poesia è questo spazio dove tutto è permesso, dove le regole sono state abbattute e le parole possono alzarsi in volo, come pure restare a ruspare a terra. A game of geography and spirituality. Geography because the game is to know where I stand. Spirituality because the game is to lose myself. Situarsi e poi trovarsi. Je vous perds en me situant et vous me situez en vous perdant. Soit, vous êtes libre. I unfortunately do not prefer the lightheartedness of wandering to the security of knowing where I stand. Ma l'unica certezza è che non c'è certezza. Spezza la pozza che puzza di pazza. Spazza la pezza che pizza. C'ammazza. Cozza. La stizza. Col cazzo. Sei zozza. Zizza si smezza. I walk, cammino, je marche, je marque, je partage. It doesn't matter knowing where I stand, il s'avère que je partage un espace. Collocandomi, je partage une information qui peut contribuer à la survivance d'autrui. Collocarsi nella lingua è una forma di sopravvivenza. Sopravvivere, supra più vivere. Ovvero non morire ti fa vedere qualcosa sulla vita. To survive means I know something about life. Actually, I know something about death. Vivere. As long as there's a heart, there's a life. But as long as there's life, there's also breath. And I need both breath and heart in order to keep living. Breath, fiato, souffle. Breath, fiato, souffle. Breath, fiato, souffle. Breath, fiato, souffle. Breath.